Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another quick rapid fire Q&A. It's Tuesday and let's get at it. I've had several questions sent in to me and I found three that I thought were really great for this time of the year and also for some of the things that we've been chatting about. The very first one is I really want to dive into about networking and how important networking is. I talk about that a whole lot, and I know probably some of you are like, oh my God, she's talking about networking yet again. But I cannot stress enough how important it is to network. So the very first thing I'm going to give you today is about 5 of the most important types of connections that you should have in your network. Above everything else, these are 5 that, and some of them are things that you may not even think about. So let's dive into number 1. Family and friends. I know that seems like 2, but it's kind of the same. Family and friends. This is something that we kind of forget about. You know, so many times we want to compartmentalize our work life from our home life. But when it comes to jobs and it comes to business and it comes to networking, no matter if you're running a small business or a large business, no matter if you're looking for a job, no matter if you are employed, your family and your friends, you are overlooking some really valuable contacts, I am guessing. So the first thing you should do is think about your family and your friends and who would be the most likely to add value to your network. I'm also going to stress that you should not discount someone because their industry is not your industry or their job has nothing to do with your job. You never know who other people know, and I am going to really just dive into that quite a bit. The second thing are classmates, whether they're college or whether they're high school or both. I have been very open about reaching out to my University of Memphis contacts since I moved back and even before, and making sure I'm connecting with them on LinkedIn, I'm connecting with them on Instagram, I'm connecting with them on Facebook. And even a Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a brand new audio only platform that I'm really starting to get into. So it's really important that you look at your college connections. Even you may come across people that maybe you didn't know that went to the same school, and that's really important as well to really make those connections. If I go to a company on LinkedIn to their company page, it immediately tells me what people that went to the same school I did work at that company. And you'd be really surprised how just having the same school in common can really connect you with somebody, even if you don't know them. High school. I've gone back and connected with people in my high school. Now, not everybody is going to be relevant, but several of them are, and I'm connected with them as well, not only on LinkedIn, but also in Instagram. Okay, now moving on along. Number 3, your current and past colleagues. I can't say this enough. Start with the job that you currently have or the job you just left, and look at first the people that you worked with, level, the people that worked underneath you, the people that you reported to, and then look at people that you came in contact with. Maybe they were with competitors, maybe they worked for vendors of yours, maybe they were your clients. Look at all of those and add those to your network. Now, not every single person will be on LinkedIn or will be on Instagram or Facebook. And when I say Facebook, we're going to leave that for a different subject. So right now I'm talking about Instagram, but it's mostly for LinkedIn. You want to look at all of those because you never know when those connections can actually come in handy because they actually know you. They've either worked for you, worked under you, worked over you, or worked in conjunction with you. So those are important connections to have. And then the fourth one is social acquaintances. So many times we totally forget those type of people. And maybe you know people socially that you've never actually said, what do you do? So I would really encourage people, and I realize that, we're just now starting to get back into being social. But even if it's online, and maybe it's on Instagram, and maybe you know somebody in a more social setting like that, look at their Instagram bio and see exactly what they do. If you don't understand it, send them a DM and say, I want to know more about what you do. The same thing can be said about LinkedIn. So many times I see that that people's profiles don't necessarily give you a clear idea of what exactly that they do now. So don't hesitate to reach out. There was a lady that I had been connected with on LinkedIn, and last summer, I was just going down my list of connections to see who I didn't know very well. And I was going to reach out to them and see if I could have a Zoom meeting with them. And I found this one lady, and I looked at her post, and I still wasn't really sure what she did. So I sent her a message, and I said, hey, we've been connected on LinkedIn for over 2 years now. I don't even really know how we got connected, but I don't even know really what you do. Do you have like 20, 30 minutes to have a Zoom meeting? I mean, this was back last summer when no one was going anywhere. But she was glad to do that. And we ended up having over an hour-long conversation. We actually lived near people that lived close to each other. And we had so many people in common that we didn't even realize. And we got a better understanding of what each other did. Okay, number 5. This is something that I don't think people think a lot about, is to find someone to add to your network that you can mentor. Now, you may be like, well, I don't really think I'm qualified to mentor somebody. You'd be surprised at how just showing people, you'd be surprised at how much you do have to offer. It's oftentimes when we don't think we have enough value that somebody else can help us see our value better. There are people coming out of college right now, reaching out to them, adding them to your LinkedIn network, reaching out to them and saying, hey, what job are you looking for? Do you need to know somebody in this industry? It doesn't have to be, let's sit down and say, okay, how do you have your life planned out from now on? That's not so much. You can do little things to mentor people, like adding them to your network, like reaching out to them and introducing them to people. There's nothing wrong with that. And it gives you value. So many times we're only thinking about ourselves, and we're not actually thinking about the value that we can give to others. And so I really want to encourage you and challenge you to look and see how you can give back to the younger generation, or even somebody that maybe is unemployed right now and looking for a job, or maybe somebody is older and they've been through a divorce and they're trying to get back into the job force, or maybe whatever that situation is. Don't discount yourself. Don't discount the value that you have to bring. Okay, now 2 other questions that were sent in. Number 1 is how to handle lapses on your resume in your work history. And I thought that was a really great question. And what I'm going to say is the answer to this question is really more relevant for people that are applying to job boards. Because when you're applying to a job board, anytime that you're inputting information on a computer and you're submitting it in the computer system, that is going to be handled by an ATS system or software program. And specifically for those, when you're filling those out, you really need to make sure that there are no empty spaces. If you remember back maybe in high school or junior high, we had those computerized tests, and there were multiple choice, and you had to circle in a letter. And they always said, don't leave any question unanswered. And this is the same way. Computers like to read types of coding, and they want to have everything filled out. So if you are submitting a resume and you have to fill out all your work history, make sure that you have any lapses in time accounted for, whether it's taking care of children at home, or taking care of a parent, or volunteering, or maybe you're doing a certification class, or anything like that. Don't lie, but make sure it's filled out. Now, when you get into an interview, if you get through the job board and you get into an interview, then you can give them a pretty human looking resume. But for the job board, you really do need to make sure that everything is filled out. Now, the second question was, what is the first thing I should do when setting up my LinkedIn profile? Okay. Very first thing is make sure you have a headshot. Make sure you have a headshot. For me to see people, whether it is on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on anything, and you don't have a profile picture, it makes me feel like I am opening up the door without looking through the peephole. And I don't like that. It makes me, it's like a hand that got shoved up in my face. And it can actually turn people off. Now, I know that people are like, well, I don't have a lot of hair. I'm overweight. I'm underweight. They're not going to like how I look. I'm not pretty enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. People, they're going to judge you subconsciously regardless. They're going to form a first impression. So having that profile picture there, just go ahead and get it out of the way. Don't have to deal with people that aren't going to learn more about you. So the second part of that, got your headshot. This next thing, I talked about this in class today, the headline right underneath your name on LinkedIn. This is a prime piece of real estate. Prime piece of real estate. It's like commercials during the halftime show of the Super Bowl. So often I see that people totally miss the whole concept of the headline. It's not to duplicate your current job title and the company you work for. That's automatically going to come up. It's to put your keywords in there, keywords and keyword phrases. For me, I have photographer, I have social media brand strategist, I have educator, I have speaker, I have podcast host, LinkedIn expert. Those are my keywords and keyword phrases. If you're a lawyer, maybe you work in Denver, lawyer, criminal lawyer, what other kinds of lawyers are? Maybe you deal with specific types of law. Put those things in there. If you are a librarian, put in the types, like what makes you special besides being a librarian. Think about all of the keywords, but please do not put in things like team player, organized, works well with others. Don't put those things in there because nobody's going to be looking for team player when they go into LinkedIn and they key in the search engine. And also on Instagram. So on Instagram, I use keywords for my hashtags, and you can do the same thing on LinkedIn. But on Instagram, hashtags work really, really well as they do on Twitter. So I'm always using hashtags, my keywords and keyword phrases on Instagram. And I always use Memphis Brand Strategist. And I actually had a lady, she was a fashion designer in Memphis, and she reached out to me on Instagram. And I said, how did you find me? And she said, I used the hashtag Memphis Brand Strategist, and I found you. And then I saw all the videos you've done, and I just really, really want to work with you. The same thing for another lady. She's a chef based in Galveston, Texas. She was using certain hashtags. So the Food Network were looking for new chefs for a new show, new competition show. So they were on Instagram looking at certain hashtags. They found her through the hashtag, meaning her keyword and keyword phrase. And they reached out to her and said, hey, can you join us? We think you should apply for this upcoming show that we're doing. She applied, and 3 days later, she was in LA filming for that show. Do they work all the time? No, maybe not. But why not give it a try? Why not do it? It doesn't take any extra effort whatsoever. Okay, headline. And the other thing I'm going to say is today I really talked about keywords people should not use in their headline or on LinkedIn ever, really. Husband, father, wife, mother. People aren't searching for those on LinkedIn. You are wasting your prime piece of real estate there in the headline. The other thing, if you come up in a search result, it's going to say your name and it's going to have your headline. And if somebody sees your name and it just says husband and father, what does that mean? They have no idea what you do, and they're just going to skip over your name. They are not going to take the time to pull up your profile and say, what does this person do? It's kind of assumed that most people are husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. It's kind of assumed. So it's, and LinkedIn is not Facebook. So it's business. So think about that. Okay, enough of that. The next piece that you should do for your profile is summary, the about section. Write 2 or 3 sentences and then do some bullet points. And again, you want to put those keywords in and keyword phrases. When the algorithm in LinkedIn goes down your profile, it's going to go with the headline first and then the about summary section second. So make sure that you have those keywords in there again. And in the about summary section, you can actually put a lot more keywords and put them as bullet points. This is a place for you to sell yourself. What are the 3 things that really make you stand out? This is where you put them. If your name can be spelled different ways, this is another thing at the bottom of your summary section that you can put in. So I could put in Sandy because some people may spell Sandy with an I or an IE. I can put that in there so that if somebody types your name incorrectly into the search engine, you will still come up in the search results. And also how you prefer to be contacted. That's another thing you can put at the bottom of the summary. And the last thing is your work experience. Make sure that you fill those out. Make sure that you put in your duties. But what a lot of times people miss is they don't put in their accomplishments. So make sure that you have at least one accomplishment with some type of number, percentage, something that kind of gives them an exact idea of what you accomplished. Put that in there for every single job that you have listed on there. I hope that will help, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday for another live Q&A. If you have questions, pop them into the chat box below, into the comment section, and I'll put them in for next week.